So 2 Fridays ago, today is Friday, 7 November 2025. 2 Fridays ago, Friday, 24 October 2025, I spent a day at the cinema. And I somehow managed to get my same day videos that I filmed on location published before midnight. After getting back, I spent over 8.00 hours and less than 9.00 hours movie going. So it was a full day at the cinema. And so it was like, I have these two playlists on this YouTube channel. I have one for movie going, theater experience centric, and then I have one spending a day at the cinema. And I was like, can I differentiate the two? Can I highlight something in a video that was spending a day at the cinema, but not movie going / theater experience centric? And so this is kind of what I came up with. So the behind the scenes, aside from movie going, details about spending a day at the cinema. So, day before movie watching training. Yes, so I've actually hinted at that one. So I've written down in here, so for some of my stuff, I do actually like train. And so I was like, I've never spent a day at the cinema. Can I even, like, am I used to sitting and watching movies long enough to, like, this is gonna go well? So, or like I can even do it, not even if it's gonna go well, but can I just sit through those movies? So on Thursday, 23 October 2025, I watched 2014 film The Maze Runner, which I finished before 6:13 a.m. The second movie I watched was 2025 film F1 the Movie, which I finished before 4:27 p.m. And then a third, I watched 2022 film Elvis, which I finished before 8:39 p.m. And that last one, the Elvis one, I was like, I'm hoping that I get back before the end time of that movie. It was like, I'm hoping, like, if I get the showings on, maybe I'll get back before then. And I did. I got back at, like, I think it was 8:13 p.m. So the training, not only did I in actually doing it, I was like, okay, I can watch 3 videos on one day. They were not necessarily back to back, but however, I still did it. And it gave me confidence in like, for tomorrow, maybe think about, like, I might be finishing a movie about this time. So, like, I deliberately paced it the two later in the day to kind of align with when I might be watching movies in cinema. And that turned out to be true, because I went to a 4 p.m. showing, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, and 7 p.m. showing Chainsaw Man, the movie Rose Arc, in addition to a 1:30 p.m. Tron Ares. So the last 2 of those 3 were actually not too far off. Well, not too far off in the sense of there was, like, some overlap with the actual showing show time that I went to for the movie the other day. The following day. All right, YouTubing food and beverage. So working on uploading, publishing. I legitimately, I was like, I left and I was like, all right, it's just going to be like the 2 videos that I've already published today. I'm not going to make it on anything else. And then, you know, I think I drank a giant Diet Pepsi and I was like, we'll see how tired I am, for real. And so what I did was I had my comfy clothes on, because I wore, like, my uniform, so to speak, to go to the theaters. And so I had, like, my comfy clothes. I got home and I was like, first thing I am doing is I'm changing out of these clothes into my clothes. So, like, you know, I had my bra and shirt like this, you know, set up. And I was just like, you know, I changed. So this incorporates attire change. I put my jacket back on. I'm like, I'm not doing anything until my jacket's hung on. The purple one. I took this one. So I was like, I'm hanging there. I'm getting the clothes done. Like, just, so I did that. And then I was like, all right, I'm just going to start and let's see how long it takes. And I have this kind of policy. I used to have some weird disappearing views and stuff. And I found that I can combat that problem by watching a video like from another channel. After I upload mine, if I watch another one, it helps in that problem not arising. So I do try to, so I was like, I don't know how much I can speed up. Because I'm not trying to screw with my algorithm, so I'm kind of going to go with what YouTube recommends as, like, the filler, as in, like, between the videos. And so I was like, And then there was, you know, there's spontaneous video, like they eating the box of Junior Mints XL. I was like, I had no video template for that. I didn't know what videos I would get, so there was like, I had to figure out the titles for stuff. So I was just kind of like blowing in the wind a little bit of like, I have no idea how far, like if I'm gonna make it. And I made it, and I had like 3 minutes before midnight by the time I got the last one published. But I was just like, I'm just gonna start working on it. And I have found, like, if I don't run and I just like, I'm like, all right, let's just put, I'm just gonna push on this and let's see what the pace is, then I can adjust the pace. Because as I would say, I worked as a lifeguard. I worked in aquatics, and I had a job as a lifeguard. And one of the rules that I had to enforce was no running on the pool deck. You know, it was like, no running on the YouTubing, right? And it worked. Okay, and I got it done with a few minutes to spare. So I was like, you know, drawing on real life work experience as a lifeguard to be like, no running, and I might get it done. And I did not run, and I got it done. So there you go. It was kind of it was like so far outside the realm of like, this is possible. And then I did the spontaneous stuff, and it was like, well, if I'm not going to get water, but am I going to get water? No, I'm going to get a different beverage than water. So I don't know what that video is going to be, you know? So there was stuff like that where I was just kind of like, I did as best as I could. There was question marks and video titles. And then there wasn't even a template. So I was like, there's nothing. I didn't have any preparation for the Junior Mints. And so I was just like, somehow I made it. I'm not going to set that as my bar moving forward. So then I'm thinking of next Friday. So I'm intending to spend a day at the cinema again a week from today. So like next Friday, I'm setting the same standard of like, it doesn't have to be done the same day. That was a miraculous output for myself, from my perspective. I shocked myself that I could do it, that I did it. That doesn't mean I'm going to hold that as the standard moving forward. Perhaps if I started earlier in the day, but I don't know. Like if I did 3 movies and I started closer to noon or something. There's also, it's autumn/winter. So the movies start at like noon versus in the summer, the movies would start as early as like 9:45 a.m. So like, it really, like, I'm like, my options have been truncated. For real. So that's one thing. I'm not going to hold what I did this last time, the first time, as my standard. I'm just gonna be like, within a certain number of days after is the intent, right? The other thing I've done to prepare is I've signed up for the unlimited pass now, and I have it. And I was like, I've had some problems with my noggin. I've fallen and hitting it. I've got amnesia. I've had, you know, like phone problems. I've had like, not like just over time, you know. I've had, even if I have an app for something, it might not work. And I was like, I went online and they have this, I can view my card for like the rewards program and the unlimited pass. And I was like, I'm going to print that out. So I printed out a physical copy, and it has my name, my member information, including like the picture and like my QR code thing, and my member number and stuff. And I'm like, I'm putting that in my wallet. So if anything happens for whatever reason, here it is. Like, it should be scannable because it has the little square on, you know, fingerprint square on it. But like, even if it doesn't, it has my name and like the picture and the number and all of that. And I was like, it's like a physical card, only I printed it out. And so I was like, for whatever reason, I got something. All right. So that's something else I've done. That's behind the scenes, is like, do I have it figured out? That's like, I don't even know like if that's a thing, right? It's just, but it's like, just like if something goes wrong and it's like a payment, be it the ticket booth or like for food or whatever, just be like, and like I can't remember anything or like whatever, just be like, does this work? Right? I might not ever use it, but you know, it's a nice thing to have in my perspective. So there we go. So that's some behind the scenes, aside from movie going, details about spending a day at the cinema.